Real Dad Talk, episode 70, Fatherhood.
Welcome everyone. Chris B here along with Rob K. How you doing, Rob?
Chris, I'm excellent. NFL starting in a couple of weeks, NBA shortly after that. I can't ask for anything else.
Good time. So speaking on NBA, our guest today is Coach Rolo. What's up, Coach?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Feeling good, man. Good to be here.
We wanted to ask you, what do you think about the NBA coming up, the NBA season?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm an LA guy, so I know it's not popular, but I'm a Clipper and Laker fan. I'm a Kobe fan first, but I've always rooted for both teams, and it just came from a childhood, like seeing both teams play. And I saw or I noticed a lot of people wouldn't cheer on the Clippers, so I kind of felt bad for them. So I kind of just jumped on the team just to kind of be a support. But man, I'm excited. I think it's going to be exciting. I'm waiting to see how the Nuggets are going to come up, see if they're going to come back, be back-to-back champs. But, I'm looking forward to see what the LA teams are going to bring this year.
For sure. Coach, so you're obviously a coach. You're the varsity coach over at Faith Baptist for the Contenders in the San
Yeah,
Fernando Valley. And you're also the founder of the G1 League that has a travel team, right?
correct.
Why don't you
Correct.
speak on that a little bit?
So, I started G1 about 5 years ago, being a guy that grew up playing basketball, it kind of came natural to me unknowingly. This is something that I was going to do for the rest of my life or for a long period of my career that I've now been pursuing. It's just been presented to me out of nowhere when I was volunteering at a local church and just being there to help out the kids learn the game of basketball. And after helping out the church for a number of years, I ventured out on my own and I started G1 Elite. And ever since, man, it's been booming and it's been great. I've been blessed with just having great families, great support, and awesome kids. And luckily, man, I've been able to kind of partner up with a few people that you guys are familiar with, like Matt Barnes and a couple other guys that are well known in the basketball circuit. So it's been fun, man. I couldn't ask um, for anything else. So it's been great.
Did you play or were you always in the line of coaching?
So yeah, I got the opportunity to play overseas, not necessarily overseas, but in Mexico,
Mhm.
and did play for Peru for a little bit. So I did that for a few years, and then that was in between of me going back and forth playing, is when I got presented the opportunity to coach. And so when I thought to myself, you know what, I could see myself doing this for a long period of time, I decided to stop playing and just start coaching. So
Very
here,
cool.
yeah.
Very cool.
So, Coach Rolo, on Real Dad Talk, the number one question we have, what's your dad stats?
Yeah, as of right now, like as far as me playing,
Well, how many?
No,
I got you.
that's a first.
because I still play, so I'm like, wait a minute, is that because now that I'm a dad?
Oh, no, I meant dad stats. How many kids?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I have three daughters, 8, 7, and 1.
Okay, so you're a girl dad,
I'm a girl dad.
like
Yeah.
us. We're all girl dads. Me, Chris,
Woohoo!
and
Yes, sir.
yeah,
I
that's
got
awesome.
two. Mine are 5 and 6. Actually, one just turned 7 earlier this month, and
Oh,
then that other one turns 6 in September.
that's awesome.
Do any of your
Yeah.
daughters currently have an interest in basketball?
Yeah, my oldest is not so much of an athlete, and she has the height, she has the size and everything, but she's just not interested, and it happens that way, right? So I'm happy what she does. She loves doing like dancing and things like that. But my middle child, she's more of an athlete, so I could see her picking up a basketball real soon. And she's 7 years old, but anytime I see her out there shooting around with her dad, I could see that she has some potential. So we'll see.
Does she come hang out at the practices and stuff?
Not yet, not yet. She has a lot of stuff going on with their activities and then homework. So she's focused on that first, but soon enough, when I feel like she's ready, I'll start having her follow me and tag along.
For sure.
So, so I've seen many of your practices. We've known each other for several years now, and so I have a question because I started coaching my daughter's team recently last year, and I see the way you coach, the discipline. All these boys learn a lot. You know, my son learns a lot from your practices. What would you say, or give me any recommendations, or any dads out there that are dad coaches like me taking this on? And mostly our practices sometimes are very unorganized. So, what kind of what any pointers would you give me or any dads out there?
Yeah, when I first started coaching, honestly, I would just kind of YouTube and just follow along what other trainers are doing at the time, because I was more of a player, and I would just shoot around on my own and do drills on my own. So I'd try to implement the things that I would do as a player, but also I wanted to kind of see what are the professional trainers and what they are doing currently. So I would YouTube, I would follow a few guys here and there, and then I just add to it to my practices and my drills, and I just go from there.
Do they follow you? Do they listen to you? To what extent do they listen to you?
The kids,
Yeah,
yeah, for the most part, I kind of take the approach of being a hard-nosed kind of coach at first, just so I could get their attention and make sure that everybody's focused and ready to go. But I'm also, very lenient at times, where I'm trying to make sure that they're looking forward to practice and just kind of being coachable, and not just because I feel there's a difference between being angry and being intense, right? I don't want to come
right.
off as angry. I just want to be like an intense coach. Like, I want to bring the best out of you rather than you fear me as your coach, right?
Yeah,
So,
you don't want to break them, I guess,
right,
right?
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any players who have said, you know what, I'd rather take off and go play for another school or another coach or a different team?
Yeah, it's funny you ask. This year it just happened where I had a kid that played for me since he was about 10 years old. He played for me all of his life, and then he's now going to be a senior in high school.
Hmm.
He decided that he was going to transfer over to another school for his senior year, and it was heartbreaking. But at the same time, we had a conversation each year about him doing what's best for him, right? So I know there was a lot of coaches and other schools interested in him, and so I just told him, me not being your coach, but being someone that wants to genuinely see you thrive and do well, I want you to, take every opportunity that's given to you and see what, if you feel like that's the best fit for you, then you got to take it.
So he
So
wasn't under contract like Harden was.
no, no contract.
Dude, he
So,
got he got fined 100 grand, right? He
mhm,
got fined 100 grand, and then the Players Association came back, from what I heard, and they're going to actually appeal that. They're like, they didn't feel like he was tampering with the trade requirements, right?
right.
But this
Yeah.
kid wasn't under contract.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. Not allowed to do that. But it's I believe it's gonna work out for him. He's gonna be playing at another school where they have a stronger schedule, playing national schedule. So it's gonna be a good opportunity for him.
Awesome. Good to hear. Good to
Yeah.
hear.
So overall, what strategies, what techniques do you give uh, these players that are, either starting out, fourth grade, seventh grade to high school level, just not only to excel in basketball, but also life?
Yeah, my approach is always as if I had my own child at practice or is playing for my team, right? How would I want him to be or her to be coached or taught by, someone that I can trust? And I always approach it as every practice, we got to practice with a purpose, right? We're in there trying to get better with certain drills, but more so, I want you to think about how are you going to present yourself at your job one day. You want to come out as a person that's going to be a hard worker, someone that's going to showcase themselves to be valuable wherever they go, right? And we have a foundation at our club team where it says, we use a Bible verse, it's Colossians 3:23, where it says, whatever you do, work at it as if you're working for the Lord. And you got to put all your heart into it, right? So that's something that we rightly want to have our kids understand and thrive for, right? Just try your best at everything you do, no matter what it is. And I take that same approach every practice, right? I try not to allow the kids to slack off, because I just don't want them to waste their time. I don't want them to waste their parents' time. And I really want to get them better, right? We want to become a great program. For us to be a good program, a good team, and if we want to win games, we got to go out there and put in the work.
Yeah, and one of the other questions and thoughts that I had is how does your faith play into not only your parenting, but in this case we're discussing in your coaching status?
Oh, it's everything, man. You know, I wouldn't be where I'm at without it. I wouldn't have believed in myself to do this on my own, and feel like I could have achieved what I've done as far as running a program on my own. You know, and it was when I left my local church, I would always question myself. I have no idea how I'm gonna do this, and I don't know how it's gonna work out, but I'm gonna trust and have faith that God has this all sorted out for me. And he did, right? He opened the gym door at another local place, a local church even. So not too far from the church I was at. Nobody was using that gym, and we started using that out of nowhere. And that's how everything started. So my faith is everything, man.
But you got to do the work though, right? He'll open
Oh,
the doors for
absolutely.
you, but you got to walk in and do and
Yeah,
put
you
in
can
the
have
effort.
faith, but you can't be foolish and feel like everything's gonna be handed to you.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah, talking about work-life balance, family balance, overall, it's difficult. You know, there aren't a lot of hours in the day to get things done. How do you balance your life in, with the way your schedule is run? You know, and you're going to the gym as well. I mean, you're definitely going to the gym. You have a family, practices. So, well, how do you balance it all?
You know, I try to always have a schedule where I'm able to get out and have alone time for myself, where I have that sanity, especially as parents. You know, you got to have that guide time. You got to have, like, for me, it's the gym. So I'll go to the gym during the day, which allows me to do, because all the kids are in school during the day. So I'm allowed to do that. And then, you know, right after that is when, or during the day is also when I find time to do the administrative stuff and all the back end stuff with G1. And then after that is when all the G1 practices are going. But, you know, so far I have a pretty balanced, where it's not too chaotic life, where it's just, I'm allowed to still have my time during the day, then go coach after school hours. And then we don't play every weekend, so it still allows me to be with my family, spend time with them. And so, man, I can't complain. I'm blessed with that. Yeah.
So when you're coaching and your guys don't listen to you, or the girls don't listen to you, you're gonna have them run lines, right? So I can't make the girls run lines and run laps at the house. So how do you discipline the kids at home when they kind of start swaying a little bit to the wrong side?
We try to tag team. You know, I think you always have to have you and your wife, or you and your spouse, just always tag team on different ways to really make sure you get them to pay attention, and just finding different ways to discipline them. So sometimes I'll have them take a timeout depending how bad they are behaving or not listening. Sometimes we'll have that one-on-one talk. And you know, and the Bible says, don't, you know, sparing the rod, right? Sometimes I do have to spank them, because I feel like they need that accountability of, like, hey, you know, I love you. And I'll always tell them that, right? You don't always
Right.
want to do it with a closed fist or anything like that,
Sure.
in a way where they're going to feel, you know what, I got to learn from my mistakes, and I can't do this anymore. Right. So I don't do that often. It's very rare, but there's times where I have done that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys play good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
So do the girls know? Have they figured out at what point they got to run to mom for something when dad's being a little harsh, or vice versa? Have they mastered that yet, or
Yeah,
they're
they
working
do,
on
man.
it?
You know how kids are. They know who to run to, who to stay away from. And they'll use us to get away with stuff, right? Like,
Right.
oh, well, dad let me last time, mom let me last time, so, but yeah, it's funny how they do that, but they definitely do that.
Yeah, it's a constant
Right.
struggle. It's a constant struggle at my house because the same thing. They know who to go to for what they want. So
Mhm.
um, and that's the other side of it. When I was going back to coaching my daughter's team, you know, even when it's running sprints or running around the gym when they're not listening, it's like I think it's very good to have that discipline, because and it's a team game too. If it's one player that is misbehaving, the whole rest of the team has to do the punishment as well, right? Because they're not going to learn from it, and the rest of the team's going to be like, hey, come on, so and so, don't do that again, because we'll all be running or doing burpees or push-ups or whatever we have to do. So I incorporate a lot of that. I mean, I watch your practices and I try to incorporate some of it into my practice, but it's really tough. We're talking about U10. Well, now U10, they were U9, and it's just you know how kids don't listen.
So hold on, bringing it home. Do both kids get in trouble for the one thing that the one child did? Because I'm kind of liking this one.
For mine,
Yeah, at the
oh,
house.
in my house, yeah, if because they're both guilty. Like both my son and my daughter are all the time, and they're constantly playing the game on us. So if one of them gets in trouble, they're both in trouble. They both get their, whatever cell phones or iPads taken away, until it's all good again. But it's really tough this day and age. The kids these days just don't listen because there's so much noise, so much social media, so much in and out, in and out. It's tough. It really is.
It
Yeah,
is,
so
man.
you just brought up, sorry, Ro, you just
No, go
said
ahead.
that you take away their iPads or their cell phones, Rob. What I was gonna ask is, Coach, how do you guys uh regulate, moderate, monitor the children's involvement and use of social media tools?
So we try to have a time frame of this is when you're allowed to use it, and once you guys get home from school, make sure that first things first is your homework. Make sure you get what you're supposed to be, whatever you guys are supposed to do to finish that, and then we'll give them some time where they can kind of wind down and do their iPad or play with their friends or whatever. But we always want to monitor whatever they're watching or doing. So me and my wife are always mindful of that. It depends on what are you watching, what are you playing, and that's the biggest thing for us. And we want to make sure that they don't go for a long period of time to do that.
Mhm.
Be on their platforms, but at the same time, we want to make sure that it's about what they're watching and what they're doing.
Yeah. And then do they watch these platforms or do they use their iPads or phones or whatever in your view, or is it in their bedrooms, or is the door open? Is the door closed?
Yeah, door is always open. That's one rule we have, and we don't always are. They're not always in front of us when they're watching, but we won't go, you know, too
Yeah, you're
long
not gonna
before
sneak up
watching.
behind the couch and
We
stuff and just
walk
pop your
walk
head up,
around
right?
them and poke, make sure we're watching. Yeah, what they're doing. And there's times where we've been like, or over here, hey, what are you watching over there? What is that?
Yeah.
And then go over there. So
Have they pulled the I need my privacy card yet on you?
luckily not yet, man. But I'm sure we're getting
Mine
close.
haven't either. I'm just,
Uh,
anticipating.
I get it from both ends, both of them, and
Mm,
I have a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old, and I get it. I'm like,
mm.
you don't keep your doors closed, Dad. Me and my friends are playing, Minecraft. Da, 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 da. I'm like, you keep the door open. I don't care. You can have it as loud as possible. Just I don't. I mean, you're not old enough to have that privacy in our
Right.
house.
Yeah.
But this is just one aspect of the challenges we have as dads these days, because us growing up old school, we didn't have that, right? So,
Mm.
what other challenges you think dads have in this arena, in this atmosphere?
Yeah. What else to look out for?
In the sports realm, I can say that from experience watching from where I'm coaching, and even sometimes when I sit on the sidelines, I can overhear parents kind of being a little overbearing with their kids and just shouting and getting on them and really discouraging them when they're playing, while they're playing. And one thing I've even seen and even watched, through social media, it might have been a video here and there, and just it's an inspirational video about never talk to your kid about their performance after the game, because especially if they had a bad game, right? Because
Yeah.
just
They're already down.
they're already down, and the last thing they want to hear is from their dad or their parent just getting on them about what they did wrong. But the more and more I coach over the years, man, I try to always instill this in our players. I care about you way more about who you are as a person than who you are as a basketball player. And so carry yourself in a manner where your parents are going to be proud. You're going to be proud of yourself. Carry yourself with integrity. So even when no one is watching, you're always still trying to do the right thing. And I think as parents and coaches and trainers, we got to be mindful of how we're coming towards our players or our kids.
Yeah.
In a matter of like, dude, I got your back. Don't worry about it. Get the next one. Let's get the next one. You're going to do better next time. The next one's going to go in. So words of encouragement. And it's not to say you're patting them on the back and babying them, but it's also just a form of, hey, no matter what happens, my dad's always going to be here for me. Right. So I think sometimes even me, I could see myself when I was watching my girls play soccer, I would catch myself wanting to say something, but at the same time, I would kind of back off and be like, nah, I'm not going to be coach. I'm going to be
Right.
dad.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be dad. Right. So I think that's one thing we can all kind of, do better at, especially for me, taking a step back. And
What about when that, what about, sorry to cut you off, what about when that athlete is truly not talented enough to excel? Their heart's in it, their mind's in it, but for whatever reason, they're not gonna end up starting. They're not gonna get scouted by the universities. How do you balance between saying, hey, I love your effort, but put your eyes somewhere else as far as a profession because you ain't going down that path?
Yeah. I would kind of do it in a way where it's more of us stealing moments. Hey, I saw you hustle for that possession, right? I saw you playing better defense. I saw you with better energy today. And still be honest with them. Hey, we still got to work on things. We can improve on this. Let's improve on that. And then on the side after a game or on the sideline or after a practice, hey, what do you love to do other than play basketball? What do you feel like you love doing? I ask that every time a new player comes into a practice. Hey, John, what do you like to do other than play basketball? And they'll share, and it could be a lot of times it's video games, but
Right.
There are times where they say, hey, I like playing an instrument. I like drawing. I like, hanging out with my friends. So I'm like, that's cool, man. And then that'll kind of give me an idea of like, hey, I can always have a conversation with him about something other than basketball. Yeah.
So what you were saying earlier about some parents out there that, during games, kind of outspoken and, they're telling their kid while they're playing. I've seen it a lot. We see it a lot, right? And I feel terrible for the kids sometimes, even after a rough game when my son's leaving the court, I'll say, you had a great game. He'll be like, no, I had a terrible game. I'm like, no, you put it all out there. We had a guest a couple years ago that said something similar, and it really stuck to me, just similar to what you're saying, where, whatever happens during the game or after the game, you don't bring it up and just let that child, diffuse, let them, unwind from the game. And then later on, like if there is any kind of small constructive criticism, and in a positive way, put it in there. But it's really tough because I see it a lot with both my kids where they come home from a game and they lose, and I don't say, I just say great game. You really put your all your effort out there, but it's really hard because you really it's emotionally they want to win. I don't think there's no kid out there that doesn't want to win. So yeah, it's that a chord with me.
For sure. Coach, what do you like, for example, I'm thinking that instead of telling them you could have done this instead of that, uh, how do you play the approach of, for example, well, what do you think you could have done better? So as opposed to being critical or analytical, you're kind of motivating them to look inside so that it's not coming from your direction, but rather them trying to improve and critique themselves.
I like that. I actually like that. I even use it myself with the team after our loss, or even if we win, but it was like a close game and we feel we could have done better. I Not always, but there's times where I'd be like, hey guys, what can we do to improve? What could we have done better? And I love that, because like you said, it allows them to actually analyze themselves and the team, like, hey, we didn't rebound. We weren't
Right.
hustling, you know, stuff like that. So I like that approach a lot.
Let me ask you this, guys. So in the locker room, you guys can have film time, right? You guys go back and watch tape. How do we get to go back and watch tape with the kids with the stuff they do inside the house? That's what I want to find out about.
Yeah.
Tell back, see what you did there? That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
I have a system for that.
Tell me, please
I
tell
have
me.
no. It's funny because I have cameras all outside my house, but I also told the kids I have cameras inside the house as well, which I'm making that up. There's no cameras inside the house. So sometimes my daughter will come in the room. Oh, so and so did this. Go look in the camera. Rewind the footage. You'll
Calling
see.
you out.
Yeah, and I'll be like, oh, I'll check the footage in like half an hour. I'm busy right now. But yeah, they both kids think there's a camera in the house. All these cameras that are looking at them.
Right.
that's funny. Hey, I'm gonna try that. See how that works.
So, Coach, the property across the street, does that have any kind of athletic facilities or no?
From Faith Baptist.
Yeah, from the gym across the street.
No, they don't have any facilities over there. A lot of
Okay.
it is just classrooms and kind of used for church activities. Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome seeing the school expand.
Yeah.
Very cool. So does your G1 league have a website if anybody wants to put their kids in there or take a look at it and see how things work?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is G1EliteBball.com. So G1EliteBBALL.com.
And where can everybody follow on social media, Instagram, G1, and what goes on?
Yeah, and on Instagram we post things all the time where it's very easy, G1 Elite Basketball. So you could just search us and we'll be right there. Posting different content of our kids, what they're doing, what they've been up to. And we're trying to expand that and trying to be a little more active on posting different content, because I'm not a big fan of just posting highlights. We want to post, different praise reports, whether it's a kid improving on his classroom or, different things, So we want to be more than just a basketball program, more so people that, love kids, a program that wants to help kids grow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Growing up, we all had different kinds of basketball coaches, football coaches, and remember or take a snippet from different coaches, right? Good and bad, right? Overall, I think it's such an amazing program that you have. I mean, I look when I see the practices, when I see the growth of the kids, the growth of my son, as a player, just to keep pushing themselves. I mean, that's the thing that my son has to understand, my daughter, that it's like, you want to play ball, you got to be out there day and night. After your homework, go back out. There's no excuses. You have a basketball room outside. Go play ball. That's the thing. How do I know it is just pushing them, but like how this day and age, I just want go outside and play ball. Is there any other advice that I can give? I can anything I can tell them?
For me, I give them. I always kind of use guys they look up to. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, the guys. We grew up. I share stories of what it looked like, what it looks like to be a Kobe Bryant, what it looks like to be a Michael Jordan, and I would share those stories, what their workouts look like. Sometimes I would use a story of a guy that shouldn't be at a basketball camp, and with a room or a gym full of 100 of the best high school players of the world, and he's in there invited because he knew one of the coaches. He wasn't supposed to be there, but he was there and he took advantage of it. And so when the guys were all walking inside the gym, they put all their stuff, take their time, put on their shoes. Their shoes are still untied. And this guy's already ready to go. He has his shoes tied. He has his basketball gear. He's just warming up. He's already getting shots up. And as soon as the coach blows his whistle, he's the first one to run to the half court line as fast as he can. And he does a jump stop. And he stands there in the middle of this gym full of athletes. And the bleachers are filled with just all these college coaches from everywhere. And I asked the kids that I'm talking to, what is the first thing you think those coaches are going to be doing when they're taking their notes? They're going to write that kid's name down. So I use that story to kind of motivate the kids that are not the greatest athletes, not the best player in the room yet, to motivate them to say, you know what, I might not be the best one, but I'm going to make sure I'm the hardest worker here right now. So stories like that help me, and I can tell, or I can see the reaction from our kids when I share something like that. It just lights a fire in them a little bit more. I can see them running a little harder, a little faster. So I'm a guy that loves telling stories like that because it helped me growing up when I would watch it on video and watching Michael Jordan films. So I think that's one way you can do it.
Yeah, I always talk about Kobe. Kobe is like a legend. I don't think there isn't another player like him. And I say, to my son all the time, I'm like, what do you think Kobe was doing? You've seen the videos of Kobe in his pajamas, at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. still practicing. It's that's the only way I could really push him, because I mentioned Kobe, but like I mentioned other players, but that's the thing. It's Kobe's work ethic was one of the best work ethics. I don't think any other player had that work ethic. And you hear all these stories about when the USA basketball team, or whatever, and then Kobe would make a joke like, oh, I'm not practicing, and then these guys would be like, we're gonna check anyway, and then go to the gym and it's him be practicing. So he's like, I fooled you guys, I'm always gonna be practicing. So it's definitely anything that can really motivate our kids to just push themselves, even if it's not professional level. I don't expect my kid to be playing at the college level. It's very hard. I know how hard it is. But just to make themselves into a better person, better player, I think it's all correlated.
Right.
Yeah. I think that with basketball, as we know, right? We know now it's to find your identity, who you are as a person, build a character, self-worth, right? Like, dude, I have a purpose. God has a purpose for me, and he's gonna use the lessons of basketball to kind of help you, groom you, and help you become a better person, whatever your calling is, right? It might not be basketball, it might be something else. But for me, I grew up thinking I'm gonna make the NBA, and here I am coaching kids, man, and I love it.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, so it's been great.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on the show. It's this is something that I think not only adults, dads, parents can get something out of, but also kids. I know I'll be playing this for my son, so he gets a better understanding of the dedication that it takes. But thank you. You have a very busy schedule, and I really appreciate. We really appreciate, Chris and I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you
I
so much.
appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for having me.
Good luck on this year's upcoming season, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
We'll come check you out some of the home games.
Absolutely. Let me know.
We'll be
sure.
there.
Awesome.
All right. Take it easy.
Guys, thanks.
All right.
Real Dad Talk.